think it's time that I do a review of who I am and how I got here and how I am connected to, well, I am Mary. I'm the spirit of Mary. Love it or lump it, I am. Spirit of Mary, Queen of Scots. The spirit of some Indian woman over in India. Actually, an Indian boy. Watching my mother being taken away. So I think Trevor and I switched roles that life. We get born every 100 years, all of us. And when we're born, we're human. And we're subject to the environment that we're living in. You know, like the scriptures to begin with, the Garden of freaking Eden, the snake pit, where everybody turned their conscience over to, well, men did, okay? They turned their conscience over to Moses so that he could have a slave. And that's exactly what happened. I'll try not to get enraged. You know, I already did a video earlier and I was so enraged at some little nitwit that was commenting on my last video. I'm just done with people. I'm not here to be mansplained. If you don't want to hear what I have to say, you don't have to. That's the good news. I'm not taking any prisoners of thought. I'm trying to recreate your imagination so you fucking get out of this hellhole. That's what I'm doing. Out of love, you know. But I don't have a lot of joy and love to give when I've got shit coming at me all day long. And that's my job here. I know that. I get it. I had a talk with my guides and I know that I have to put up with this bullshit. But, you know, in all honesty, I'm going to have to turn the comments off. I have to figure out how without, like, the only way to turn the comments off is to make it for kids. But I don't want to make it for kids, really, because then I just don't want to right now. Anyway, back to my amazing star family. You guys have no idea that there are two worlds going on. Your world that means the most to you is unconscious. It really, really is. And I have to splash water on your faces. But from time to time. But right now, I want to get to how I am connected to Elvis. Let's do that one. Well, you know, it has to fit. You know, in my story, I was told this in 2016. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe all of this, right? I was overwhelmed because I was a battered, beaten down woman by my own family. And, you know, I'm just easy markings. I really am. I always have been. I'm like a kid, really. And they take advantage of it. Every fucking human being takes advantage of me. Trust me, it's hard to be kind. But I know the big picture, and I really am trying to help. So, you know, this is my story. And you know, if I have gaps or you can't get the whole picture all at once in one short video, I'm sorry about that. You know, I'm sorry you have doubts. I had doubts, so I'm just going to try and cope with that. It's hard for me as an emotional being, that it's really hard that people don't like me, really. That's the biggest thing, because I'm human and people don't like me. They really don't. They just assume I shut up because I'm popping bubbles. I'm popping fantasy bubbles. But you don't understand, once it's popped, once the ego breaks, the joy in knowing who you are is going to be incredible. Except this hypnotic trance of following scriptures has made man a very, very guilty soul, a very shameful person. It really has. I'm sorry. That's the real reality. And my dad and my son are part of my star cluster family. And they came. My father, for example, he was in prison. He beat my mom up. He was drinking. He was the rebel without the cause. And now what am I doing? I'm trying to give him the spirit of Elvis Presley's twin brother. Elvis Presley had a twin brother. Who died and his soul came through America like my Grosclose family did. His soul came through to Star City, believe it or not. Yeah, there's a city in Saskatchewan called Star City. And that's where my father was born in Easter Sunday, 1939. And that is the twin spirit of Elvis Presley. See, we all have twins. We all have maybe multiple twins too. So when you hear me talking about twin flames, when I talk about your father and your son are your twin flames, and mother and daughter, and then the soulmate connection of the father, daughter, mother, son. That's the soulmate connection. And it's a joy. And I know you love your daughters. I know you do, but you're getting all confused about it all. You have to love the mother too. You have to love her twin flame. And that's bloody hard in this world, in the garden, isn't it? When the images of mother are splashed all over the place like she's some hag all the time, or crazy, or airhead. She's still a slave, and she's even worse off than she was 100 years ago, because now she's lobotomized away from her feelings. And her feelings are our intelligence here. Without your mother's feelings, we have no intelligence. They're trying to build intelligence at the universities, and all they're doing is trying to replace mothers. And mothers go to work at the university or go to university, and I go, what the heck is going on here? We don't need all these programs for health. I'm cured on everything. You don't need anything from a doctor. No, you don't want to take your daughter to a pap smear either. That's sick. All of it's sick. Okay? And my ego broke when the beings of light and my deceased son were right there in front of me, and downloading my heart with everything, all of the world picture, all of the history, all of the pain and suffering I've gone through, life after life after life. It's time for people to know. And if you don't want to know, go back to the Bro Club and find out what you get there. But this is my story. If anybody wants to dispute it, please do. Bring me your evidence. Because believe me, I didn't believe me. And I had to have evidence. So I connect dates. I connect names of people and of countries and of cities. I connect all very personal to me. So I know how to connect the dots, and I'm just going to try and show it to you a little bit. Maybe you can understand me. I don't know if you can see this okay. But this is my story. And my father made that Last Supper in the New Westminster Penitentiary in 1968. He was committed to life for being a habitual criminal. His worst crime was writing bum checks. No kidding. My father was just he had a heart of gold, and I'll show you in his pictures. He had a heart of gold. And he was terrorized first by scripture. My grandmother, who was part of my soul group and star cluster, she was lost here too and fallen into the scriptures, and she scared the bejesus out of my dad. So we come from this last American dream thing is about coming to America in 1750. We did. And we were supposed to go to Pennsylvania, and my forefathers, we're all the same ancestors, right? We were supposed to go to Pennsylvania because the government of America at the time paid for all these Germans to come over here. Germans. You got to be careful, really careful what I say here. But yeah, the Germans came over. They picked up female slaves in Norway and Sweden and came over to Pennsylvania. And they were supposed to stay in Pennsylvania and build up Pennsylvania. That was the deal. But, my family's a little bit shady. So they took the money and ran over to Virginia. And they built Virginia instead. And this is a town in Virginia. And this was the time I took my Uncle Hilliard and my aunties. My father couldn't come because he had a criminal record. By the way, he, a few years after, maybe even months after he was sentenced to life, it was taken away because the whole habitual criminal thing went away. They weren't allowed to commit people to life. Well, they found the three strikes law. That's why I studied criminology. I wanted to figure out my dad. Like, what the hell? He's got a heart of gold. What's he doing there? So it was. I wrote a book called Evil Eyes, the daughter's memoir about my parents in 2011. It's at Amazon. I don't get any money for it. You can buy it if you want, but I don't get a dime for it. Men have robbed me of everything, every fucking thing I've ever. I'm the smartest person in the room, and they take my ideas. I'm the creator. They run with them, and they take all my money. That's my whole life story. But I'm not better. I'm not better. I'm just that's part of my journey was to go through it so that I could expose it, really. But people aren't into me exposing the plight of women. They hate it. Oh, bitchy women. You're always complaining. Oh, Nellie, you're going to find out what happened to her, what happened to your mom, what happened to your daughter, is that you made her. You created her. And you're going to have to face that. You're going to face it. If you're not ready to face it now, then I'd go to another channel, because I'm going to force people to face things that they don't want to look at. That's my job. I get paid well for it. I'm very comfortable. That's my dad. And he read Rebel Without a Cause in grade 11. And that's how they start brainwashing kids, right? They give them stories, and then they want to be that. Or they watch TV and, oh, I want to be Batman. Yeah, I want to be a princess. Look at the profile photos around. People are using these cartoons. They won't put their own face up anymore. They don't know who they are. They're not proud of themselves. And we have a great big book. We have a family of gross closes throughout all of Canada and North America. They're just huge family. And Tanya Tucker's in there. I told you that before. Of course, my dad isn't, because his spirit went into... That's just too long of a story. This is me with my baby. I had met Arthur Nolan Fisher, and my heart knew, he was mine. Your heart just knows. Do you guys know? You just know. Oh, well, I gotta have that one. And that's the way it was for me. But Arthur was very confused, and he already had a little girl, and he was a lot like Trevor, like that. A couple of babies, different mothers, and he also was a homosexual. He turned sodomite, and he was tempted. And when you get tempted and you go into that, and especially if you hate your mom, right? It's easy. If you hate women. If you hate your mom, you hate women. There he is. See, he even looks like our soul group, right? I feel he was part of our twin, or I feel he was, but I don't feel he is anymore. And it's not that I did anything, like cut him off emotionally. He cut us off. He turned all in, and he died of AIDS. He's on the AIDS memorial wall. But it was with him that I was in the 1977, my birthday around, when we went into that small honky-tonk pub in Vancouver, and Elvis Presley was playing, and it was like magic around me. I was so young, but here I was with this gorgeous man who I was deeply feeling for, and then the music of Elvis Presley was like, I'm in heaven. How did I get to heaven? But it was short-lived, of course, because everything here is. So there's my father and my son, and I kept them apart, because I'm human, and I fell into the trap too. I didn't want my son to turn out like my dad, and they were so much alike, and I was scared. As it turns out, they did turn out exactly the same. My son got in trouble with the law with drugs. They ended up at the same prison camp once, when my dad was 60 and my son was in his early 20s. It was, but if you, even looking at at their features about their twin flameness, they're so much alike. They even have the same gap in between their teeth. They have the same, everything's the same, and it's precious to me now to look. That's the Last Supper. Oh, and the Hope Chest. My dad built me in prison a lot of neat things, like jewelry boxes and hope chests. And it was always for me. So I knew he loved me in his spirit, right? I knew he was thinking about me. And people have to know that. Even if our parents go wayward and crazy, they love you. Your parents love you. It's just too hard to show any expression here. And ego gets in the way. Righteousness gets in the way. Judgment gets in the way. And fear gets in the way. My little boy was so unhappy when I married Gary. I had no idea what was going on. I thought I was getting into the princess life because I married a man that was going to make money. I married somebody who I could get the house and the cars and the whole shit and caboodle, And what happens here? It's not happy. If you look around at the kids, they're really not very happy without their parents with them. Yeah, he was a Disneyland victim. Now, how he came to be, obviously through me. I don't know how. But he is the twin. He is Elvis, actually. He's Elvis. This is Elvis right here. Yeah. Elvis's twin brother can do that, through seeding. This is Elvis and Jesus and King James, the sodomite pedophile. Almost came one again this time, only he decided, well, our story is he was to leave trapped in flames at 25 years. Our story is on purpose. He left, his ego probably did not know what he was doing when he was speeding 132 in Alberta there. He just wanted to get his wife home. She was pretty drunk. And he just wanted to get her home because she was screaming at him. She told me that later. She was screaming at him when that all happened. And his spirit, or he died, he died in flames. He died 2.5 years or hours later with his knees cut, like his legs cut at the knees because they couldn't get him out of the car. 80% of his body was burned, except his face. 3rd degree. It was a spectacular event on purpose. Nobody got it. I didn't get it. But I got it now. It's part of our journey. And that's what happened. When your ego dies, when this story dies, this is an ego trip, guys. It really is just an ego trip. And you can pick any role. And I'm trying to tell you my story, not for you to worship me or get to think I'm bragging. It's because you're going to see it. You're going to see the truth. And it's far worse. It's grave than you could have ever imagined. And I'm trying to prepare your hearts for that because I was prepared by the golden beams of light and Trevor. I want to do the same for others. This is Jimmy Carter. The abuse of women and girls is the most pervasive and unaddressed human rights violation on earth. He's absolutely right. Since Freud, we've been used as experiments in medications, dulling the senses, and it's a hopeless situation. I don't even know how many. I just don't know how many. But they're safe. They're safe in the heart because they were the ones enslaved by man. They were enslaved by man walking into that garden and listening to Moses. And then once you listen to the 10 Commandments, how many laws have come since? It's just never fucking ending of law. And man thinks he has to beat his wife or he has to keep her in line. You got to think back in the day, the way it was, and the way it has evolved now to a complete contempt of her. You see it on TV. You see them raise the women that get in trouble. Like one woman will kill somebody. Oh my God, it's a 7-year trial. Jodi Arias. 7-year trial. Do you know how many men have 5 to 7 a day? Killing their partner, men killing her. But that's not what you see on the media. You see the worst of women on the media. You are not getting the picture. You are not getting the truth from the media. Empath, it's not about thinking. It's the thinking is made up words, and the words were invented by man, and then they create a picture, and that's how we live through this word. For a woman, she is the empath of us. She's the feeler. You know that. You know, some dude trying to argue with me on my on my YouTube there. Oh God, I have no more time for them. But yes, women are empaths. Yeah, she may appear to be a psychopath. I wrote the book. But her intelligence is feeling, and her intelligence could bring miracles to earth. Lickety split. She can multitask, and she can read into people, and so nobody can corrupt her or corrupt her family. But there's no protection for her, so she's not protecting anybody. Let me think. She's not protecting her kids, and I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. And I'm sorry you're angry. I'm sorry that you take it out on the people closest to you. Okay, so then let's go back to my amazing star family. So there, the twin of Elvis died, and Gladys Love was Elvis Presley's mother's name. I had no idea. I had to investigate her death date, make sure it lined up with me, and so I looked in the Google of what her name was, and it was Gladys Love. And if you know that how to spell Gladys, it's G, and then ladies, and then love. There's things in names, there's things in dates that I could point out. A lot of people think, that's crazy. Well, you know what's crazy is watching cartoons that the Moses characters put out for you to watch. That's crazy, you know. But yeah, so she was in her own hell. She was a lot like me, you know, pushed to the side. She drank and she smoked, and the narrative is that she died at 46 of a heart attack, I think in 1958. And I was born September 11th, 1959. And I had him again. And that's my story. And I'm sticking to it. It took a lot for me to even admit any of it. I poured my heart out here, right? And I am a normal, reasonable, rational human being. I know very well how this would sound if I did not connect my dots and have my story straight. It had to make sense to me, or I wasn't going to put it out there. And I can't put it all out there in one video. Like right now, I'm kind of tired and I don't really want to go on. So it's hard for me to help you see the big picture, because I know you're looking for someone to believe in, you know. And I want you to believe in me. I want you to know I've never asked for money, and my intentions are to repair our hearts before we die. I really want them repaired before we die. Hollywood has created monsters out of people. Monsters. Universities have created monsters. And I don't feel safe here. I don't feel safe here. I'm not safe. I'm clearly not safe here. You know, to just live my life and enjoy cooking and gardening and playing with kids and animals. And no, I can't do that. And I can't think up any better creations right now, because my brain is so consumed with the left brain bullshit that my own creations are foggy. I mean, the ones I want to recreate, I just don't know if it's too late. I mean, you tell me, is it? How do you feel? Do you feel? Or am I entertainment for you? You know, Mary was beheaded in Ephesus, Turkey, after she saw the spirit of her son. And kids today are drugged, and women are drugged and institutionalized. and they're told that they're seeing demons. And these are her family members. These are her ancestors. And they're so wise. When we die, we don't die. We go invisible. And until you're reborn, you still have your consciousness of your life to watch your movie from the beams in your eyes. And that's why everybody wants to come back right away in the reincarnation trap David Icke talks about. That's why you want to. You have to repair this. Even the dark people, like when your consciousness goes dark in sorrow or evil thought, your literal physical will turn dark. It will. It'll turn red and then dark. That's the way it is. I feel very strong that I'm right about that. If you look at the state of the world and the colors and where they're coming, it looks more and more black to me. And that's because of Hollywood this time. We may very well turn black. You can't get away with acting like monkeys. Darwin introduced you came from monkeys. For heaven's sakes, no, they turned us into monkeys using these idiotic cartoon character Greek philosopher types to prove their point. Oh, we've got these other pros. Listen to these pros over here. Oh, a pro. Do you know what a pro is? An idol star. The ones that Jesus hated so much. He hated worship. He hated people counting on others for their intelligence. Because you're far more intelligent than any Greek philosopher who put you into stories so that you lose your senses. Like Aristotle and his sense of love he took away from everybody. Everybody thinks they have 5 senses, that's all they have to think about. But if you don't use your first sense of love, the one you're born with, then you can't because you've been put into fear, and so your love goes out the window, and you're just subjected to any suggestions, and you're going to believe whatever you want to believe that makes you feel as comfortable as you can feel. Everybody has a way of getting their life done and doing the best they can in these circumstances. But you don't know the covert activity that I know. Like, you don't know how bad it is in the minds of people now, men and women. They're just devious and calculated, and to get their own end, they will take and they will ruin people with their name to protect their feelings and their ego. They have to project all of their garbage and baggage onto someone else. Get it off of me. Yeah, I'm going to blame you. And Jesus warned about judging. It stops all intelligence. Judgment stops intelligence. You won't get any more information once you've made up your mind about somebody or something. That's why I never make up my mind about anything, about any of my story, nothing. It's open. It's open because you can't judge either good or bad. When you do, you're concluding. So I've judged my ex-husband as good, all good, oh good, all good. That clouded all of my judgment. Once I judged him as all good, I couldn't see straight. But you know what? I really had a bad day today. I'm not gonna lie. I feel extremely anxious. I feel something's in the air for January. I already know that California is practically going under. People are getting out of there, but they can run, but they can't hide. You know, you can't. The weather's coming, and it's not government. I mean, Christ works through people. but I sense this is all Christ inspired because we are at Revelations. Revelations has to come now. The truth has to come out about women. That's the bottom line, women. You know, we got Epstein over there. He's got all his slavery thing going on with infants and all this elite and our politicians and idol stars. Everybody knows about it, but they're going about their business as if nothing's going on. You should have a reaction beyond that. And not just sitting at home. You should be on the phone. Nobody's on the phone. Nobody's doing nothing. You know, they're entertained. This is your entertainment life. This is not Christ. So I was enraged. I did some chicken balls, Chinese chicken balls I wanted to do on film with my music, but my emotions got the better of me because that nitwit made a comment on my YouTube, and I react. Yeah, I can't help it. It's who I am. Don't tell me not to react and don't worry about it, gentlemen. Fucking you stand up for me. You say something to him. But no, men don't. No, you just stop. You know, no, don't worry about them. Every fucking word against me is a word against his mother. I'm going to tell him that. Come over to my channel and say, explain life to me? Oh my God, how ignorant when you can't even look at the heading of what I'm doing here. Soul recovery. So if anybody is a subscriber and you really aren't interested in that, you don't have to watch, but I would sure appreciate a like, you know? Now and then. My algorithm goes nowhere because of you not putting a like there. How do you have 350 subscribers and 2 likes? How does that work out in the boy world? That doesn't happen in the boy world. He's popular. He begs for money. He puts the fear of God in you first, the fear of everything. Terrorism, emotional terrorism. And then he sells you gold or supplements and you'll buy into it. But some honest person comes along and you don't recognize the truth. People don't recognize honest people. Actually, they see themselves in honest people, and they probably destroy them, every honest person around, like I have been. Literally destroyed. Not just by my family, by government doctors and by charities, by the Y, the food bank, who give garbage and then they charge you for it. Oh my God, you wouldn't believe what's going on in the poverty world. Well, maybe you'll find out. Yeah, this is all new to me, eh? Going homeless and leaving 59 years of my belongings in British Columbia. It's still not clear why I am in Quebec City, and the only thing I can think of is I'm protected here. That's what one of my finger painting art things sort of told me. The first time I did that canvas, it was when I got here. It was one of my first ones I did, and it was like 911 because I knew, because of the beams of light, I knew this was huge. I knew, although I was allowed to have it all unfold slowly, it still was all in my heart, and I did this 911 red and black and horrible. But then I had the sense to redo it, and I redid it with a house protected by a pink glow with my moon right there. You know what the moon's about, guys? Anybody know anything about the moon other than Armstrong went and walked on it one day? The moon has a brighter side. It's huge. It's brighter than the sun. And stars come from that realm. I call it heaven. Crystal stars. And we have a firmament above us, a dome. We're on a flat plane with Arctic Circle, holding in the oceans. I mean, nothing else makes sense, guys. And the ice goes on, I think, for infinity. There is another place. And to me, Earth has always been paradise. I've traveled the world. I've seen the waterfalls. I've seen the oceans. I've seen the lakes. I've lived on the lakes. I die for the beach. But it's ruined by stress, by rush, by no one taking the time to smell the roses and enjoy themselves at home, enjoy themselves with their families. It's just not possible. In this, they created slaves. Man created first a slave and his woman, and that's a fucking fact. Don't argue. But it's done. Okay, it's done. Forgiven. Now you gotta know that you're the slave. And you're the slave to the godfather. And look at you. You're the slave to money, to the gold, and to being the big bro guy. And you don't like it. You don't like it. And I know you don't. I know you don't. I know your spirit doesn't like it. Don't lie to me. And that's what I want you to do, is go inside and know what you don't like. And then say it out loud to somebody, maybe. Talk about what you're really thinking. Your thinking is the manifester. Your thinking with fear and manifestation of what they're putting in your heads. That's why we got holy shit here. Holy shit. I know there's going to be a lot of feelings with what I say, and people react in different ways based on your own upbringing and your own experiences, but I encourage you to discover your own self by being more self-aware of how you engage in the world. If somebody was looking at you like you're in a movie, what part are you playing? Because it is a movie, and you are in it, and nothing is hidden. Don't let that scare you, okay? Because everybody fell, for the trap. That's why we're reincarnated all the time. Yeah, I'm going to leave the comments open for just a little while, but because I like people, if there are people that have questions. I don't mind questions. Don't come to me with the answers. So that's where I get enraged. Don't come to me with the answers. Unless your answer is the same as mine and you know it, like I am. If you know, we're connected. We are kin. We really are kin. I'm human. I am the nicest person you ever want to meet. But I have a job to do, and it isn't easy, but I was built for it by my twin flame. My mother brutalized me on purpose. I'm the strong one. The others are falling apart monkeys. So everything had a reason, and everything in your life has a reason too. I am not special here. You have a story too, in your own dynamic, in your own realm. And Christ consciousness can come and go, right? As I've tried to explain. Jesus was Jesus at the time. Mary was Mary at the time. That story is over. Over. We moved on to the King James and that disaster, and the exact same papal wars are going on again. We're repeating history just like we do in our family, like you can see in my family, the same lives. I have had the same emotional lives every time, and that's going on in your story too. The same bullshit. So it's a matter of, well, what do you like it here? Do you like it like this? Do you like being a slave to anybody? Or do you want to be free and you want to know who's who? You want to know who's under the costumes they're wearing. Because I assure you, really, the nicest, sweetest, loving guy is the worst in my book. That's my book. And nobody can dispute that. Now, if you have a different story, good. But in my book, that's what I see. I see reptiles in disguise everywhere. And the fact that people can't see them. I couldn't see them before the beings of light came. I thought everybody was just, my husband said to me, I was the most naive woman in the world he'd ever met. And that's because I only see spirits in people. Always have. I didn't judge anybody's costume, whether they were the CEO or they were the housekeeper. I know, you're all the same to me. But the ego is very, very, very different. And the ego hurts people. It hurts yourself. And so self-awareness and the willingness to express your true feelings and thoughts. If you don't have feelings, your thoughts about what you really think. And tell it to the people around you, especially the bros that keep going on with this bullshit. It's getting worse. When will it stop? So I don't know about the end. I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know there are going to be huge events that'll come up. And I wanted to finish about Epstein before. I want to show you again, like Martha Stewart, the stock trader cheat, went to prison, and the media exploded that up for 3 years. The same with Epstein. It's Maxwell, another woman, who paid the price, right? Get it through your heads. It's a woman scapegoat every fucking time. And it's done deliberately, and they want you to hate her. The more you hate her, the more the godfather gets you. Gets your soul. So, I knew all of this in the beginning. I tried to tell a couple of my friends, oh my God, this is going to boil down to women are less than the dirt we walk on here. And it's true. It is absolutely true in every institution, in every corporation, except the ones that turn into men and talk like men and act like men. Those ones are successful. Like my mother, she became an accountant and she was like a man. There's no love, there's no homemade food. Rules and law and order, exactly the way Moses set it up in the very beginning. And again, we don't go back into history to all the details, and because that's where the devil is. They lie and twist scriptures every freaking 100 years. And that same bloodline is running the world. They're at the end of the line. That's what I know. They're at the end of the line. They gotta be. I hope they are. Okay, I don't know for sure. Well, I'll leave it there. I told you that everything going on in my world has been brought to me by my life experiences, my associates, and my visit by the Beings of Light and Trevor forever. And my intention is to untwist the twist that has been here. The figure 8 in the middle is a twist, right? It's been an eternal cycle of blah, blah, blah. It's nowhere, going nowhere. But if you take that twist away, we're going to have our pie again. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but we come from a pie of energy, of love, of Christ. That's the God-forsaken truth. And I hope you all can forgive me for my outbursts sometimes, my emotional reactions. They're all very honest and deserving, but they bite. I bite back. I bite back hard. I appreciate the new subscribers. Come to see what this is all about. I'm not for entertainment. I try to be a little entertainment, and I try to give you me, just me.